Happy New Year. You feeling it? I'm feeling it too. Okay. Isn't that what I wanted to do? My apologies. I'm feeling it with you. There we go. Let's just try it this way. You know, when you're working with automated things, sometimes it doesn't always work. And sometimes it does. But I'm so glad you were here, and I'm glad my family is here online because I know they're there. And I'm Penelope. My pronouns are she, her, and I welcome you to the Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta. And I'm going to jumpstart this service this year with you. You ready? Alive in 25. I am grateful, grateful for this day, for the love we share, the life we make, and I give thanks for all the many ways that the love of God appears. I am grateful, grateful for this day, for the love we share, the life we make, and I give thanks for all the many ways that the love of God appears. I am grateful, grateful for this day, for the love we share, the life we make, and I give thanks for all the many ways that the love of God appears. I am grateful, grateful for this day, for the love we share, the life we make, and I give thanks for all the many ways that the love of God appears. Yes, the love of God is here. We have come here to love one another. We have come here to let our love grow. We are family, we're here all together, and we carry this love everywhere that we go. Oh, 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 oh. Yeah, yeah. Oh, 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 oh. We have come here to love one another. We have come here to let our love grow. We are family, we're here all together, and we carry this love everywhere that we go. Oh, 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 oh. Come on with me now. We have come here to love one another. We have come here to let our love grow. We are family, we're here all together, and we carry this love everywhere that we go. And we carry this love, and we carry this love everywhere that we go. Oh, 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 oh. Yeah. Oh, 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 oh. Yes. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone, and Happy New Year. Yes, we're off to a good start. My name is Reverend Jean Bell. I'm the Associate Minister here, and my pronouns are she and her. And I am so glad that you are here with us today. If you are joining on Facebook or YouTube Live, please like and share this broadcast so we can continue to spread the good news of New Thought out into the world. We have a new month, a new year, and our new month's monthly theme is Infinite Possibilities. And that we do indeed have, because it's always up to us. We are always at choice in that manner. All right, Today, we have potluck. I hope to see everybody down there, and I hope you all brought delicious gifts to share. We're going to go through our monthly affirmation. I'm going to say it all the way through, and then I'm going to invite you to say it along with me. Yes? All right, sounds good. Here it is. There's a power in the universe greater than I am, and I can use it. And I choose to use it now. I give myself permission to use the power within me to expand into new possibilities. This year, I allow myself to dream bigger, stretch further, and trust that I am capable of achieving it all. That is beautiful. Let's say that as one voice, shall we? There's a power in the universe greater than I am, and I can use it, and I choose to use it now. I give myself permission to use the power within me to expand into new possibilities. This year, I allow myself to dream bigger, stretch further, and trust that I am capable of achieving it all. And so it is. All right, if you are new and visiting for the first time, please see a welcome team member in the hallway for a gift, especially for you. Jericho is going to give us the announcements.
Phone's ringing. Tell them to hold on 1 second. I'll be right there. My name is Jericho Brown. My pronouns are he, him, and his. I serve as a board member here at SLCA. We have so many great opportunities to connect, grow, serve, and give at SLCA. For more information about today's announcements and other opportunities, please scan the QR code found on your monitor. Everything I say here, you will also find through the QR code. But you can listen to me too. First and foremost, I want to thank each and every one of you that stepped up and not only met the $25,000 match program, but exceeded our goal. Because of your my note here says, because of your generosity, but I want to add, because of your generosity and because of your investment, we were able to raise, in addition to that $25,000, $32,310.32. When you add that to my $25,000 match, we have a grand total of $57,310.32 that will go toward the 2024 deficit. I kind of want to shout. Just give me 1 second. If you watching, you could just give me 1 second. Okay, I just had to get that one out. Visioning is vital to the next announcement, sorry. Visioning is vital to the sustainability of SLCA. Join SLCA practitioner. I don't know how to pronounce this first. Oh, it's Nana. I've never seen the first name. Oh my God. How do I say this? Say it to me. Ifesenichi. Ifesenichi Nana. Isn't that something? Wow, it's like my whole sister. I don't even know her name. Yeah, anyway, sorry. Next Sunday during the 5 o'clock hour, as she leads our community in a vision for SLCA. This will take place every second Sunday, and we would love for you to join in. Reverend Jean is excited to announce a new opportunity to grow every second Sunday during our 5 o'clock hour. Join Reverend Jean Bell and discover the basic ideas of science of mind. This is a perfect refresher class for members and is especially designed to help newcomers understand the basic principles of the science of mind and spirit philosophy. You will learn how to use these principles to enhance your personal well-being and live a more freeing and more fulfilled life. Have you signed up yet to meet the board? We want to hear your ideas on how we can grow together. Meet with any board member after service today to reserve your spot. There are Meet the Board sign-up sheets There's one right there. I think if you check your email, there's an opportunity to sign up via email. So please sign up for one of the times. We have several times available where we are meeting with you individually and in small groups about SLCA and what you want to see happen at SLCA. There are other board members here, so maybe y'all can just wave if you're in the room. All the board members can just wave. Do a big wave. Let everybody know you're here for you. We're here for you. Mark your calendars and plan to join Reverend David for Praxis Sunday on January 26th. Reverend David will also offer a deep dive during the 5 o'clock hour for those wishing to set their personal intentions for 2025. You Belong workbooks are available for purchase in the social hall after service today. If you have not submitted your 2025 pledge yet, now is the perfect time to speak with a member of our staff today after service. It is imperative that we increase our monthly expected revenue to continue to offer these life-changing opportunities at SLCA. Many members of the SLCA staff and board have also increased our monthly gifts, and we ask you to consider doing the same. Some of us have been giving the same amount for 20 years, and we haven't paid attention to the fact that we got 20 raises. So please think about upping your traditional gift. The pledge flyer, which Reverend Jean has given me, you can find outside when we leave service if you would like to sign up for your pledge there. And one more announcement. Oh, this is not an announcement. This is me saying thank you. Thank you. Thank you. This is just, I have to say, y'all shouldn't give me a microphone. I have to say, I am so excited to be in 2025 with y'all. Obviously, this year seems to be a year that is already presenting its challenges, but I do not want to meet those challenges with anybody but you. And I thank God for SLCA. Thank you so much for joining us today. We look forward to visiting you after service in the social hall for food and fellowship. Today is Potluck Sunday, so you get to see who can really throw down. Don't forget, you belong.
Jericho. Open your mind, unfold your heart, relax your senses, feel every part. You ain't got a thing to fear. Looks like love is growing here. So take your guard and let it down. Go deeper still until you come unwound. Breathe every breath. Release your cringe. Love without waiting. Slowly unhinge. You ain't got a thing to fear. Looks like love is growing here. So take your guard and let it down. Go deeper still until you come unwound. Unbound.
I relax into the week that's coming now. I relax into this month, this year. By relaxing, it doesn't mean I'm passive. It doesn't mean I'm not alert. What it means, I am rest assured in the faith that tells me I am always enfolded in the all-powerful hands of God, whatever form those hands may take. I am immersed in the ocean of God that surrounds me, all this energy pouring in. And what I really know is that I can direct this energy. I don't control it, I direct it. And what I know is there is nothing except God, except Spirit, in so many infinite forms. Forms I'm familiar with, forms I'm not, some forms I may like and some I don't, but nonetheless, I see the God in everyone because each of us is a part of that infinite energy, that infinite intelligence. So I can rest assured that indeed, no matter what happens, I have the tools from hearing the words and the classes and the thoughts and the prayers and the music of this center over the years. I know that no matter what it looks like on the outside, I am just fine on the inside, and I am going to let that flow over into the relaxation of how I come through this week, this month, this year. There is no government that controls my destiny. I and Spirit create my destiny together. Spirit always says yes. So as I look around, and there are so many things that can be so upsetting, I don't ignore them, I acknowledge them, and I make myself a center of peace and love and generosity to help with those situations. And I know that in truth, everything is working for a greater good. No matter what it looks like, everything is working for a greater good. And so I can relax. And I can know this for every person I meet. I can let my light so shine that it helps to lighten the path for others. And I know there are many who join with me for our center, for everything that we are upholding the promises and living from the promises that were made. No matter what our creed, no matter what our background, our race, our sexuality, we are all the divine creatures, the offspring of the Most High. So we can relax. We'll be alert, we'll be certainly alive, more so and more vibrantly than ever before. Because God is all there is, and I am one with that, and so is everyone within the sound of my voice and beyond. Knowing that this is so, I release these words because they're already complete in the mind of God, and we're watching them unfold here, right now, moment by moment. So in faith, I release, simply saying thank you, namaste, aloha, blessed be, shalom, amen, and if you care to join me, and so it is.
You can stop waiting for love to find you. Look inside your heart. Love's already who you are. So lift up your voice. Let it be heard. Tell me your story. Tell it to me. Don't leave out a word. 'Cause I think I've been there too, and I'm a seeker just like you. You ain't got a thing to fear. Looks like love is growing here. So take your guard, let it down, go deeper still until you come unwound, unbound.
lighting the flames of faith. A call to service. We perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples, all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence which we call Spirit. Fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here today. We recognize the candle for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We recognize the candle for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous people, the way of the primal spirituality. We recognize the candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We recognize the candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We recognize the candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We recognize the candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We recognize the candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. We recognize the candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We recognize the candle for all forms of New Thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. As we recognize the healing candle, please put silently in the light the name of anyone you wish to experience the healing flame of God's eternal love.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. How are you? Happy New Year. You well? You're good, good, good. Welcome, welcome. This is our time of tithes and offerings. And once again, as Jericho said, we're super grateful for everyone who has stepped up in their pledging all throughout the year, but especially in our year-end giving to meet and exceed our goal. That's so amazing and so wonderful. I was grateful for each and every one of you. And also, as he said, we are asking everyone to examine this year going forward what your annual pledge is on a monthly basis. And if you can, to increase that, to increase the sustaining support that comes into our center. I'm looking at our family pledge and increasing it this year and making that commitment this month. And so we invite whatever form your giving takes today to keep our center open and the energy moving into a bright and wonderful new year of, as our theme says this month, infinite possibilities. We're grateful for that. So we know that you make that decision consciously and with great intention, and we thank you so much. So let's hold our gifts in our hands. Know that you can text to give, you can give online, you can set up your reoccurring. If you even want to set up a monthly pledge, you can do that from your phone right now. You just text that to that number, and then you say monthly. If it's $100 or $200 or $500 or $20, and if you say monthly along with the dollar amount, it'll automatically set that up on a credit card or debit card or whatever you choose. So it's very easy to do that and participate even from your seat, or if you're watching from home, right where you are. So let us hold those gifts now in our hearts as we bless them with these words. I live in a universe of abundance. As I freely and joyfully give, I join in the divine flow, and all that I share with life returns to me multiplied abundantly. And so it is, and so we are. Thank you.
May this be a year of love and kindness. May strangers come to be friends. May truth and compassion always guide us. Amen. May this be a year of hope and healing for all of those in need. May all of our deeds be a blessing. Amen. A new year, a good year, a chance to start all over. A new year, a sweet year, a chance to bring us closer. May this be a year of selfless giving. May this be a year of peace. And may we forgive and be forgiven. Amen. A new year, a good year, a chance to start all over. A new year, a sweet year, a chance to bring us closer. A new year, a good year, a chance to start all over. A new year, a sweet year, a chance to bring us closer, closer to the ones we love, a world that we can be proud of, long as there are stars above. There comes a new year. Amen. So it is.
Thank you. All right. To receive these pledges and offerings, let's just invite you to extend your hands, your heart, and your energy into these gifts, into this basket, into all the gifts that are coming in online, all the hearts that are represented online, that come in throughout the month, that come in automatically at their designated day and time. All of these gifts and more, pressed down and overflowing into the heart of this ministry to meet the needs of our staff, of our organization, of our community, and to be circulated back out through our tithing, through our ways in which we show up and spread the message to all those near and far who wish to receive a message of oneness and connection of love and transformation that lies at the heart of our being. So with this and so much more, I truly give thanks, and so it is. All right, thank you, thank you. All right, well, Happy New Year again, everybody. Welcome to 2025. Can you believe it's here? We are here together today, even though some of our friends might be home praying as they watch the Falcons. Some of you decided to come to church. Others decided to pray at home. So we pray their strength in the Lord for whatever is happening in the third or fourth quarter, wherever we are. But I personally am a Packers fan by family designation, and which is the way those things work. That's by family designation. And I woke up to a news feed I follow on social media, and they said, well, we need all Packer fans to be Cowboy fans today. I said, whoa, hang on a second. I was just taking it a little bit too far. At some point, you just got to give it up to God. I don't think I can go that far today as much as anyway. So we just give it all up to God wherever you are in that. And we are also, of course, taking a moment to extend our hearts and love to the city of Atlanta, to the beloved son, Jimmy Carter, celebrating his life and his legacy, yes, as the nation's eyes turn to Atlanta this week and for the next several days, all the services and celebrations that are happening. His body is lying in state at the Carter Center right now. You can even go after this service. They've got buses for you to take and walk through and pay your tributes, and we give thanks for all of the fine example of love and service and humanity. I call them online. We use in sports the term GOAT a lot, greatest of all time. So I said the GOAT of humanity. He is the GOAT of public service, the GOAT of sacred service and servant leadership, and of so much inspiration for human rights and civil rights and democracy and just being a decent human being. Amen? Yeah, amen. Amen. So we're grateful for all the energy that is being funneled into that and to the family and to the Carter Center. Let it inspire us this year for a great year together. And so today we're embarking on this new possibility, this new series, Infinite Possibilities. It's often the case in New Thought churches and in my own tradition that we take, see I got this big book here, The Science Mind, text by Ernest Holmes, and take a chance to review the basic principles and kind of refresh a little bit. And this year we're going to do that through this lens of infinite possibilities, to explore how we can stretch, as our Science Mind magazine cover says for January, stretch into possibilities, into greater possibilities for our life. The title for today is God's Nature is Our Nature. God's nature is our nature. I've said for years in my messages and in just my personal talking with people about, because growing up in New Thought, I get questions all the time like, well, tell me about, your God or the way that you pray or the way that you think about the universe, etc. And I would often respond in a number of different ways, but one of the things I said a lot, and it became kind of sort of a catchphrase of answering these questions, is that if you want to understand the nature of God, then study nature, right? Because God is not separate from all that is. It's one of the first lessons that we get out of The Science of Mind from Ernest Holmes, who is standing on a legacy. He's standing on the shoulders of those that came before him. And over the holiday break, I've been reading quite a bit of Henry Drummond, who was a Scottish philosopher and theologian and taught science and a number of things. And he was and Ernest Holmes had a book of Henry Drummond's. Anybody here heard of Henry Drummond before? It's very obscure. Yeah. Oh, what? I got one. Ding, ding, ding. I love it. And so, kind of an obscure New Thought source, but it's actually said that Ernest Holmes in his home as a child, they had a copy of one of Henry Drummond's books. along with the Bible, and those were the two things that he read the most, that he frequently, went to. So I actually got a copy of some old books of Henry Drummond's from the widow of my childhood minister, Bob Henderson, whose robe I have, and so every once in a while, his wife sends me things, and I've got sermon outlines and letters and all kinds of different things. So over the holiday break, I got another little gift package, and in there was some books of Henry Drummond's, and allowed me to go a little bit deeper. And I was thrilled because I've been researching and trying to find, because I love Scotland so much, and I'm always looking for a reason to go back. So there's a New Thought connection to Scotland, to Edinburgh and Glasgow and whatnot. And so I was like, oh, okay, I got a new reason to get another ticket. How about that? So in any case, he really began writing about the connection between God and nature and science. And he wrote a sermon that got widely distributed called The Contributions of Science to Christianity, like in the 1840s, right? You imagine that? In the 1840s, the contributions of science to Christianity. And really what he talked about was the idea of like the scientific method and the idea of looking for evidence of our thinking, of our inquiry, and also the sort of the natural law and the predictability. And I really saw over the holiday break how that would have influenced a young Ernest Holmes who wrote so much about the response of the law to our consciousness, right? The automatic nature and so on and so forth. So we're going to get into that this month, into these basic ideas. And today we're looking at God's nature is our nature. He says right here in the first chapter, the second paragraph, starts out like this. He says, to suppose that the creative intelligence of the universe would create us, he said man, but humanity, to create us in bondage and then to leave us bound would be to dishonor the creative power that we call God. Let me say that again. To suppose that the creative intelligence of the universe would create humanity, or you could say would create me, right? One of the things we can do to understand metaphysics or the New Thought philosophy better is to just personalize it in first-person language, right? To suppose that the creative intelligence of the universe would create me in bondage and then leave me in that bondage would be to dishonor the creative intelligence within me, right? There's a creative intelligence in the universe. That creative intelligence is in you. And it is and this is what the New Thought authors began to unpack and to, these days we say deconstruct, right? They began to they were deconstructionists long before that was a popular idea or concept that we refer to as such. But they were deconstructionists. They were deconstructing these ideas that were pillars of Christianity or religion or theology and say, wait a second, the premise from the get-go is that we're less than, that we're not worthy, that we're created in bondage and all. Wait, who said that? Right? Can we unpack that a little bit? Given that this thing is, the sun is rising and setting, and all of this creative energy of life and beauty and all of this is and all of that is the same thing that created us. To create a beauty and nature and wonder and geysers and volcanoes and flowers and hummingbirds and all of these beautiful things. But then it created, and we're just this worthless little slimy thing, right? Wait a second. Can we unpack that for a minute and maybe think about that differently? Have a new thought? So that's where these terms, new thought and all of these things began to come from. He goes on to say, Ernest Holmes does in The Science of Mind, we see abundance in the universe. We cannot count the grains of sand on a single beach. The earth contains untold riches. The very air is vibrant with power. Why then is humanity weak, poor, and afraid? The Science of Mind textbook deals with these questions, he says. And then he says, the divine plan is one of freedom. Bondage is not God ordained. Freedom is the birthright of every living soul. And then I love this. He says, all instinctively feel this. all instinctively feel this. The truth points to freedom under law, and thus the inherent nature of humanity is forever seeking to express itself in terms of freedom. The divine plan is one of freedom. We all instinctively, there's something inside of us that instinctively feels this. This is why no matter how much oppression, no matter how much subjugation, no matter how much something that happens to something, there is a creative urge, there is a creative life, there is the soul will find a song to sing. This is what we, in poetry, they say, the cage bird sings. I know why the cage bird sings, right? Because it doesn't matter what the conditions or circumstances is, there's something inside of you that knows. I don't belong in this situation. I don't belong in this less than dynamic. I don't belong in this kind of vibration. There's something within me that longs to be free. There's something within me that longs to be expressed. There's something within me that is of health and wholeness. There's something within me that is of love and beauty. There's something within me that is about my creative talents expressing in the world and finding my divine right partner or my divine right vibration or frequency in the world, my right place. And story after story after story throughout humanity is about that thing busting out, right? Busting loose. Both in individuals, but also in whole collectives of people awakening to their divine power. And he says, thus the inherent nature of all humanity is forever seeking to express itself in terms of freedom. We'll personalize that again. The creative intelligence of the universe is seeking to express itself in terms of freedom through you, through me, through all of life. And so our work as spiritual beings, as humans, as ones who are awake to this divine idea or seeking to be awake to this divine idea. Our work at any one point on our life journey is to recognize the connection between our current life experience and how we've been co-creating it through the law. Our whole purpose at any point in our journey is to recognize the connection between our current life experience, kind of what is so right now, and then how have I been participating or not participating, consciously or unconsciously? What has been my role in, I would say, I wouldn't say creating, because sometimes we use the term of us creating our reality so strongly in the first person that we leave out the creative intelligence of the universe. And then it becomes a way of self-abusing ourselves, right? So, oh, I did that. I did my thinking and my da-da-da. No. You're always co-creating with the intelligence of the universe. There's a power within you. There's a power within you greater than you are. It's a power is always greater than you are. You're using it. So how life is right now, and then what is my part, basically, right? My thinking, my attitude, whether I brought the situation to me or not, doesn't really matter, right? I always say, why is kind of a useless question. Well, why did this happen? Why was I born to these people? Why was I born in this condition? Why was I da-da-da? Kind of a waste of time. I mean, it can be a creative question and can bring up some interesting things, but ultimately, so you discover why. Now what? Right? I'm going to give you a whole book of why, and there you go, there's the why, right? Because Jupiter was in the left quadrant of the third quarter at halftime. Okay, why? Great, got that. Now what? What are you going to do? What is your response? What is your articulation? What is your intersection? I said last week, your consciousness is the intersection between the infinite and your potential. Your consciousness is the intersection between the infinite and your potential. There's an infinite creative intelligence. There's an infinite power. There's an infinite love. There's an infinite capacity. But it has to move through its creation. It has to move through the channels of creative expression. And you are one of those channels. You are one of those points of intersectionality, where the light of God, the love of God, the creative intelligence of the universe is seeking to express itself, but it only can move through you in the ways in which you recognize it. And so what God actually is, when we say, well, what is God? As we begin kind of this quest of understanding our consciousness, God is actually nothing more and nothing less than our current understanding of that intersection. God at any one point in time can only be that which you allow it to be. And so we have seen humanity do awful things. We have seen natural disasters. And so people have written stories projecting that, oh, that must be God doing that, right? No, it's just the creative energy of the universe moving and flowing through natural order, and it's just humanity making particular choices. But we project and we say, well, that must be God. Well, it is, because it is our current understanding of. But the moment we have a lifted consciousness, a higher idea, higher vibration, higher frequency, higher infinite possibility of what God can be, then suddenly that expression changes. The possibility changes because the avenue through which it's possible changes. Is that making sense? If you want to understand the nature of God, study nature. It will show you that there's infinite potentiality, there's infinite creativity, there's a balance of ebb and flow that is taking place, and there's always this intelligence seeking to express itself in terms of freedom, in terms of liberty, in terms of an emancipated expression, right? And so I like to begin my new year kind of in some quiet space. I'm not a big New Year party countdown guy. I usually go to bed early. Many years as a teenager, I would be at camp. I'd be at teen winter camp, and so we would do the countdown, but we'd also do the World Peace Meditation on the 31st at 5 a.m. And so I was much more attracted to that energy of like really creating this kind of sacred space and being still, and that really became my New Year's ritual. And so I continue that in various ways throughout the year. It changes when you have family and kids and all of that, but I still create space where it's like, just mentally, let me just kind of take all the constructs down, all the preconceived notions, and kind of start over again and build back up and see what pops in that is sort of preconditioned and pre-programmed and wants to force its way, and then kind of pause and question that. A couple of years ago, I found this poem in some progressive Christian curriculum that I was doing, by Cynthia Langston Kirk, and I really love it, and I've been using it every year at the new year, meditating on it and just kind of working over it in my conscious. Cynthia Langston Kirk, and I love the fact that her last name, Kirk, is what they call churches in Scotland. See what I did there? I went back to, I'll find my way there again. But it's called Stripped by God. And you probably heard me say it at this time of year in previous years. Stripped by God. It says this: what would happen if I pursued God, filled my pockets with openness, grabbed a thermos half full of fortitude, and crawled into the cave of the Almighty, nose first, eyes peeled, heart hesitantly following, until I was face to face with the raw, pulsing beat of mystery? What if I entered and it looked different than anyone had ever described? What if the cave was too large to be fully known, far too expansive to be comprehended by one person or group, too vast for one dogma or doctrine? Would I shatter at such a thought, perish from paradox or puzzle, shrink or shrivel before the power? Would God be diminished if I lived a question rather than a statement? Would I lose my faith as I discovered the magnitude of grace? Oh, for the willingness to explore, to leave my tiny vocabulary at the entrance and stand before you naked, stripped of all pretense and rigidity, disrobed of self-righteousness and tidy packages, stripped of all that holds me at a distance from you and your world. Strip me, O God, then clothe me in curiosity and courage. Strip me, O God, then clothe me in curiosity and courage. And so I'm going to invite us this month and entering into this year to clothe ourselves in curiosity and courage to see what is possible for our lives, the infinite possibilities. We might have come preconditioned. We might have come with those tidy packages. We might have come with those preconceived notions of what is possible for ourselves as individuals, what's possible for our community, what's possible for our nation and politics, and all kinds of things that have been sort of preloaded in anticipation of what is to come. But what if we stripped all of that away and stood naked before the Almighty and said, clothe me in curiosity and courage. Let me move forward with that beginner's mind. The New Thought philosophy says that when we have a passive relationship with our thinking, our thoughts are not intentional. Let me say that again. When we have a passive relationship with our thinking, our thoughts are not intentional. They become reactions. Reactions to something that's standing in front of us. Reactions to something that's happening in the news. Reaction to conditions of our bank account or our relationships or life or the weather or whatever. When we have a passive relationship with our thinking, our thoughts are not intentional. And regardless of what the stimulus is, whatever we are constantly holding in mind is what we are placing into the law of creation. And so it becomes wise for us to pause long enough, right, to say, well, let's have some intentional thoughts. Let's have some intentional creativity. Let's have some intentional reactions, and not reactions, but creation, right? Reacting, responding to what's happening to us, but rather just saying, we can just begin by observing. Well, life is just happening. There's this happening on the news, and this is the weather pattern that's moving across the U.S. or wherever, and this is what's happening on my bank account, and there's what my children or significant others are saying, and there's what's happening over there, and it's all just sort of, if you imagine yourself in front of a whole bunch of screens, and it's all just a bunch of different screens going on. But the I am that is within you is standing there, not being pulled into the reactivity of it, but simply the observation of it. And then out of the observation, to say, now, what do I want to create? What do I want to focus on? How do I want to direct my thoughts and energy in response to, not in reaction to, but in response to, in co-creation with, okay, I see that that's happening. I'm not ignorant, literally the word, to be ignoring of, that's happening, right? I'm not ignoring this condition. I'm not ignoring this circumstance. This is what's happening in the world, and, politics or human rights, civil rights, or the earth, or whatever it might be, right? These are the conditions that are happening on the planet. How do I want to show up? How does that which is infinite want to move through me? Using my talents and my creativity and my voice and my passions and my health and well-being and all that I am. I'm going to give you a couple of, I realize I'm doing all this talking and I haven't shared any of the quotes, so let me just make sure I haven't missed anything. The divine plan is one of freedom. Bondage is not God ordained. Freedom is the birthright of every living soul. Ernest Holmes, that's page 25. It's actually the first page of chapter 1. There you go. Ernest Holmes says, for our future is a matter of one person who has come to know what God is, and then another, and then another. And as I said, this God presence is simply our current understanding and our relationship with the infinite. And so our philosophy, he says, his whole desire in writing this was about helping people get to know what that is, not from a reactionary standpoint, not from a theological standpoint that was preloaded with all these conditions of unworthiness and all of that other stuff, but saying, if we can invite people to pause and to consider the infinite creativity and the way in which they are interacting with the laws of the universe, then what might they come to know for themselves about what God is? And then another, and then another. For he says, to know what God is, that's getting back to the basics. the study of the science of mind, the study of first cause, spirit, mind, or that invisible essence, that ultimate stuff and intelligence from which everything comes, the power back of creation, the thing itself. And so I want to give you today, not ready for that one yet. I want to give you today 3 ways to pause and to stay more present in this intentional co-creation. 3 sort of reminders, if you will. The first they all come from the work of Ernest Holmes, but the first is this idea that we don't create, Ernest Holmes says, we don't create laws and principles, but we discover and make use of them. We don't create laws and principles, we discover and make use of them. The law of creation is already established. It's not something we need to invent. It's not something that we need to bring into being. You don't need to go create how the laws of the universe are going to help you create the life that you want. It's already there. You're already using the infinite creative law. You're already using the infinite creative intelligence. You've been using it since the day you came into this existence. Some would say you've been using it even before then. Some would even say that you used it to get here in this carbon manifestation. Right? And you can think anything you want about that, but the idea is that the law is already there. It's already in motion. Our role is to recognize and engage this law in ways that allow us to use and to harness the good in which we desire to have. The law is always at work, responding to our thoughts, beliefs, and intentions, whether we are aware of it or not. I often say in this teaching, the idea that there's a law that responds to us is, I would say, it's principle, not personal, right? Something doesn't go our way, it's the way in which we're using the law. It's not personal. Nobody's picking on you. God's not picking on you, right? The devil's not after you, right? It's not because, as I've been teasing with my son lately, it's not because you said Beetlejuice 3 times. That ain't it, right? It's not personal, it's principle. It's the way in which the law is always at work. Our invitation is, even when things aren't going our way, to become more conscious of how we're using it, what's happening in our thoughts. The question, how are we using this in our lives? Are we engaging with it consciously, with clear intention and purpose? Are we reacting to life circumstances, or allowing ourselves to be shaped by unconscious patterns and habits? And can we begin to break out of those, leave those tidy packages aside, and come fresh and new to the consciousness that is trying to emerge in and through us? So that's the first one. You don't have to create anything. Creative energy is already there. The second one is to realize that the thing itself, what Ernest Holmes here calls the thing itself, is not something separate from you. It is you. Let me say that again. The thing itself, infinite intelligence, what he calls first cause, spirit, mind, that invisible essence, that ultimate stuff, that intelligence from which everything comes, the power back of all creation, the thing itself is not something separate. It's not over there. The thing itself is not available at Walmart. Right? It's not on sale at Costco. You can't pick it up in bulk. It is you. You are it. You are the thing itself. You are the creative intelligence of the universe. Spirit had need for an outlet of this divine intelligence that looked and felt and moved and talked and was shaped like you. And so you exist. You are the thing itself. God is your relationship to the thing itself. It's how you interact with it. It's the name that you give it, because you got to give it a name, because we came out of the thing itself and then we had to name it. It's the whole story of Genesis. We came out of the thing itself and then we had to start naming things. We named this good and we named that bad, and we started just putting labels on things and babies do the same thing. Come into this world, everything is just one undifferentiated, infinite creative self that shows up when you need it, and it feeds you, and it cleans you, and it clothes you, and it does all the things, and sometimes you got to cry out for it to get it to be there and to be warm, and then you start naming it. You start calling that one mama, and that one dada, and this one this, and that one that. You start identifying what's safe and what's not safe, what's good and what's not so good, and all those other things, your preferences. And that self-differentiation and that labeling creates the illusion of separation, but you always have been and always will be the thing itself. And all those other things are simply ways in which the infinite has shown up as those things as well. Have I gone too far for you? Are you still with me? Right? We got one more. So the thing is, we are it, right? It is us. The question becomes, how aware are we of this deep truth? Do we genuinely believe that this infinite power is in us? That we are, as Ernest Holmes says, the chemist in the laboratory of the infinite. What are we creating with our thoughts, emotions, beliefs, etc.? The third thing then is that no matter what has happened in the past, in this moment, we have the power to co-create our future. No matter what's happened in the past, in this moment, we always have the power. You know, we make a big deal about it's January, it's the new year, it's 2025, it's the last Sunday of the year, and we do our burning bowl and our white stone and all that. And I said last week, it's like, this moment is just ceremoniously recognizes that which is every moment. Every single moment is a moment in which you get to decide, now is the beginning. Today is the beginning. Today is the birth of the universe. Today is your birthday. Today is the celebration of and the culmination of the moment that you wake up, the moment that your conscious awareness comes into a new day. You get to say, this is the day that the Lord has made. Rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day I get to say all of the things of the past are in the past. All of the infinite possibility is in front of me. And this is the day that my consciousness becomes the intersection through and the channel through which I co-create my reality, my experience, my expectations. I set the template. This is the moment. If I want to call it January, if I want to call it the new year, if I want to use those external things, then that's fine. Use those things because they help you, because they enhance the possibility, because they create a co-creative energy with the rest of the planet that's also celebrating. That's wonderful. But you don't need any of that in order to make that moment. You don't need any of that in order for that possibility to be true, because it's always true. This is the moment. Your nature is God's nature. And so what will we create? What this science of mind philosophy gives us is the opportunity to know ourselves deeply. I love the writing and the work of Mark Nepo, and he talks about getting to this place of inward knowingness that I think corresponds so beautifully with the work of Ernest Holmes and his book of writings called The Book of Awakening. I used it for my sermons for many years. He says this, to know this spot of inwardness, that's what he calls it, this spot of kind of this inward awakening where you're fully awake and aware of who and what you are, what you're here to do, what you're here to create. To know this spot of inwardness is to know who we are. Not by surface markers of identity, not by where we work or what we wear or how we like to be addressed, but by feeling our place in relation to the infinite and then by inhabiting it. And this place of inwardness is marked not by the surface things, not by how much money you have in the bank account, not by how good you feel about anything. Certainly not by who's in political office in any particular place on the planet at any particular time. Not by the direction of the stock market. Not by any of those markers. Not by how many degrees or letters you have after your name. Not by any of those markers. But by feeling your place in relationship to the infinite and then inhabiting it. By saying, I know that right where I am, God is. That's the third phone call today. I am telling you, you better believe that something's happening, God's happening in this place. We have created an atmosphere. Let me tell you something. We have created such an atmosphere in this place through our intentionality that people are calling to find out where you're at. They are ringing every phone in this place to say, where are you? You are somewhere that I want to be. You better invite them next week. You better bring them here, right? You are on their mind. They're like, oh, something going on with that person right there. I got to call them up, see what they're at, where they're at. They don't know you're at church because they thought that got over a few hours ago. You said, no, we got it. We got afternoon. You can sleep in or, right? Go to brunch, do whatever you want to do. And then come on with me in the afternoon. We're awake and aware to know this place in relationship to the infinite. And then by inhabiting it. Ernest Holmes, in the summary of this first section of the Science Mind, the thing itself, he calls the thing itself. He says, this then is the thing itself. Let us briefly recapitulate. There is that which is within each individual, which partakes of the nature of the universal wholeness, and insofar as it operates, is God. That is the meaning of the word Emmanuel, meaning the word of Christ with us. There is that within us which partakes of the nature of the divine being, and since it partakes of the nature of the divine being, we are divine. It reacts to us according to our beliefs in it, and it is an immutable law, subject to the use of the least among us. No respecter of persons. It cannot be bound. Our soul will never change or violate its own nature. All of the denying of it will never change it. All of the affirming of it will never make more of it than that which it already is. But since it is what it is and works the way it works, it appears to each of us through our belief. It is done unto each as we believe. We will say then that in spirit man or humanity is one with God, but what of this great law of the universe? If we are really one with the whole, we must be one with the law of the whole, as well as one with the spirit of the whole. It is the spirit, the law, the mind, all of it moving through us. If we try to find something difficult to grasp, then we shall never grasp it, because we shall always think of it as being incomprehensible. The mind which we discover within us is the mind that governs everything. This is the thing itself, and we should recognize it in its simplicity. We find that place within us and our relationship to the infinite, and then inhabit that place. That's your whole quest this year. That's your whole quest this month. That's your whole quest every day. Who am I in relationship to the infinite? To whatever's coming at me, whatever I'm seeing on the news, whatever's coming up and bubbling up in my own consciousness, my desires, my fears, my doubts, my relationship to all of that. Where am I in relationship to all of that? And who am I in relationship to all of that? And then inhabit that place fully, which means to simply become awake and aware of who you are in any particular moment. Embody that fully. And then from that, you will discover the power that's moving through you. You'll discover the capacity you have to articulate your heart's desire, the capacity that you have to articulate your dreams and your passions, the power that you have to articulate that which Spirit wants to move through you, as Parker Palmer says, rather than living the life that you want, living the life that wants to live you, right? What is the life that wants to live me? There's that something. If I can fully inhabit the place of the I am in relationship to the infinite, fully inhabit that space, and suddenly I become aware that there's a life that wants to live me. There's a wholeness that wants to live me. There's a prosperity that wants to live me. There's a health that wants to live me. There's a love that wants to live me. There's a dynamic energy that wants to live me. I have to become available to it. I have to become awake. And so then the quest is to question and examine and unpackage and to deconstruct all of the fears and the doubts and the worries and the other things that might filter and get in the way and keep you from that path. And it doesn't have to be overwhelming. I'll give you a whole year. We'll have this conversation next January. Okay? Just take your time. Right? But you just do it one at a time. You just pick up that thing. You know, this morning I got up, I was trying to inhabit that space, and then this came into my mind. And it got in the way because it distracted me. Okay, then just grab a hold of it and just examine it and say, where did you come from? Right? Why are you here? What is this about? I'm going to take you with me to church. We're going to figure this thing out. We'll bring that box back out. You write those things down. We're just going to write you down right there and just put you in the box. Or take it to class, or take it to a practitioner and say, what about this? Can you do something about that? Because that thing getting on my nerve, right? That's what practitioners do, right? Take a breath. The other tradition that I've had for a long time is rereading this thing called You by Ernest Holmes at some point in the beginning of the year, not always in January, but or sometimes around my birthday and beginning that. And in that, we find this passage, in that book, we find this passage that I have used for many years and has really become a centerpiece, perhaps unknowingly to many of you, a centerpiece to this ministry, but you'll know why when I say just the first two words. You belong. You belong to the universe in which you live. You are one with the creative genius back of this vast array of ceaseless motion, this original flow of life. You are as much part of it as the sun, the earth, and the air. There's something in you telling you this, like a voice echoing from some mountaintop of inward vision, like a light whose origin no one has ever seen, like an impulse welling up from an invisible source. Your soul belongs to the universe. Your mind is an outlet through which the creative intelligence of the universe seeks fulfillment. This is your starting point for investigating the meaning of those impulses, those longings, those desires which accompany you through life. You may accept that the source through which they come is real. You may accept that the universe is filled with a divine and infinite presence, perhaps the infinite of yourself. Not the infinite of your limited self, but the infinite of your divine self, the self that you must be. There must be a pattern of yourself in this invisible. The greatest minds of the ages have accepted that such a pattern exists. Socrates called it his spirit. Jesus called it his Father in heaven. Some ancient mystics called it Atman. Why don't you just call it you? Your complete self. For surely this is what they all meant. Just try to catch the larger vision and realize that there have been and are people, many of them, who have wooed and wed some invisible presence until its atmosphere and essence have become woven into the fabric of their own existence. Everyone is a doorway, as Emerson said, through which the infinite passes into the finite, through which God becomes human, through which the universal becomes individual. You are to believe with utmost simplicity and with a complete faith that there is a pattern of your being, or a real spirit of you, which is as eternal as God, as indestructible as reality, as changeless as truth. This pattern is seeking to manifest through you. Back of it is all the will and purpose of the universe, all the irresistible laws of being, and finally, it will win. It is because it is there that you have these irresistible urges, the longing to live more fully, the feeling that life belongs to you. There's something within you beyond your doubts and your fears, something which has never been limited by your acts or destroyed by your feelings. This is the only something that can make you whole. I invite the practitioners to come forward and join me in prayer. And those practitioners online and in the room that are available for prayer today, they are available to you after the service. As we take a deep breath and we begin this journey of infinite possibilities this month. Oh, I know that divine something, that real something that Ernest Holmes was speaking about, that indeed affirms that you belong to the universe. I belong to the universe in which I live. That something within me is that divine presence seeking and pushing and urging itself into creative expression through every thought, through every feeling, through every aspect of my life, through every creative endeavor, through every relationship, through every partnership, through every relation that I have in the world. And because I know that to be the truth for myself, I know that to be the truth for every individual within the sound of my voice, that is the truth of this dynamic spiritual center, that is the truth of every spiritual center in existence that seeks to know the divine power, to do the will of that divine power, to make more love, more justice, more peace, more wholeness visible in this plane, visible in this existence, visible to its creation. And so I affirm and declare that this year is a year of infinite possibilities for each and every one of us here. That whatever doubts or fears or preconceived notions that we dragged with us through the door, we can cut the ties of those things, let them lie where they are, pick them up and examine them if necessary, otherwise simply let them be and return to the nothingness from which they came, because we are moving in new direction. We are moving with new possibility. We are moving with open hearts and minds, knowing that we are an outlet through which the infinite seeks to express itself. And therefore, love and peace and wholeness and beauty and creativity and justice and so much more seeks to know itself as our very self, as our very hands and feet and life and activity. I give thanks for the model and the example and the demonstration set by Jimmy Carter. I give thanks for the model and the example and the demonstration set by the Atman and the Buddha and Jesus and Muhammad and all the mystics and sages of the ages that we might turn to for inspiration, for the poets and the musicians and the mystics and the creators that will inspire us this year, move us through any difficult challenges that lie ahead. And I give thanks for the mystic and the poet and the muse within you, the real self, the infinite, as it moves into greater possibilities right now. For this and more, I give thanks. I release this word. I feel the wave of possibilities rising within me and my life experience. I speak a word of good health and well-being for you, for me, for our families and friends, for all of life, for our nation, for our country, for the world. I know that good and more good is pressing against us, knocking at the door of our consciousness, seeking entrance through our willingness and our demonstration. And so we let it be. Amen, Amen, and so it is. Thank you, God. Thank you. Peace and blessings. Thank you. Sing us out.
Yes. I feel good, don't you? I do. Come on, sing with me. We envision a world that works for everyone and for all of creation. Woo! We see all people everybody. We've got a great afternoon prepared for you, so don't go anywhere.